the 2026 Formula One season is already shaping up to be another chaotic, silly season, with a wave of potential driver swaps that could completely reshape the grid. From Sergio Perez being linked to Cadillac, to the shock rumors of George Russell potentially jumping ship to Red Bull, the landscape of F1 could look radically different in just a year's time. And these are not just any drivers, they're names that could redefine the sport as we know it. Let's start with Sergio Perez and the growing speculation around his possible move to Cadillac. The American outfit is set to join the grid in 2026, and by 2029 they're expected to develop their own power units. Perez is rumored to attend the Miami Grand Prix, where Cadillac is reportedly hosting a special event on Saturday, and many believe that a major announcement could be just around the corner. Mario Andretti, who leads the project, made it clear that Perez is among the top candidates, not only because of his experience, but also due to the massive financial backing and fan support he brings. Andretti emphasized the importance of confidentiality while a final decision is being made. There are plenty of drivers in the U.S., he said, but when you consider things like super licenses, the list gets very short. Perez is definitely a possibility. In fact, I think Liam Lawson's performance made Checo look even stronger. According to Andretti, Perez has proven to be extremely popular among American fans, especially in places like Austin and Miami. Whether Cadillac ends up pairing him with an American driver or not is, in his words, irrelevant in terms of market appeal. Given the financial package behind Perez, he stands out as the most logical first choice for the new team. But that still leaves the second seat open, and here's where things get even more interesting. Rumors are swirling about the possible comeback of a familiar name, Zhou Guanyu. While nothing has been made official, sources suggest that Cadillac is in active talks with him. One reason? His long-standing experience with Ferrari engines, a trait the team reportedly values as they build their technical foundation. While all these behind-the-scenes negotiations unfold, the spotlight inevitably returns to the reigning F1 narrative, the future of Max Verstappen. Whispers around the paddock claim that the four-time world champion is seriously considering walking away from Red Bull sooner rather than later, following the team's internal turmoil and apparent decline in dominance. Although none of this has been confirmed publicly, it's well known that high-stakes discussions are underway behind closed doors, well beyond the reach of the media. One thing that's become increasingly clear is that Verstappen's contract reportedly includes a special clause, one that could allow him to walk away from Red Bull if he's not sitting in the top 3 of the drivers' standings. Initially, it was believed the clause was tied specifically to finishing within the top 2, but what truly matters is this. If Max begins to fall behind the 2 McLaren drivers in the championship race, his stance toward the Austrian outfit could shift dramatically, potentially pushing him to explore an early exit. We'll unpack all of this further in just a moment, but first, let's talk about what Helmut Marko had to say. According to him, we need to make the RB21 a more competitive machine. As things currently stand, the release clause won't be triggered. But Max is always evaluating his options, and if the opportunity presents itself, he'll seize it. Hopefully, that moment is still far away. We're all laser-focused on that 5th world title. However, what's really shaken the paddock is the alleged offer made to Verstappen by Aston Martin, a jaw-dropping $300 million over 3 years, involving a powerful alliance with Honda and Adrian Newey. That kind of money and technical support might be too tempting for Max to brush aside. Still, Aston Martin isn't the only top-tier team keeping a very close eye on him. Enter Mercedes. Even though Toto Wolff has expressed full confidence in his current driver pairing, it's hard to believe he wouldn't reconsider everything if Verstappen becomes available. Wolff already let one golden opportunity slip through his fingers earlier in their careers, and this time he's determined not to let history repeat itself. Of course, things have changed since then. Mercedes has now signed young sensation Andrea Kimi Antonelli, seen by many as the future of the team. But if Wolff sees a way to partner Antonelli with Verstappen, potentially replacing George Russell, that would trigger a seismic shift in the Formula One landscape. Why? Because Mercedes could enter the 2026 regulation era with a massive advantage. The development focus has shifted heavily toward engine performance, and by all accounts, Mercedes' power unit is shaping up to be the class leader. That's something Honda simply can't guarantee at this stage. And for a driver as hungry for titles as Verstappen, switching to a team that offers the best shot at continued dominance could be irresistible. It's ironic, considering Mercedes is the very team he fought tooth and nail to defeat back in 2021. But now, if he wants to extend his championship streak, it might be the only viable route. And then there's the big question. If Verstappen does join Mercedes, who makes way? The answer seems to point to George Russell. According to whispers in the paddock, preliminary discussions have taken place between Russell and the team, both sides aware that sometimes things unfold beyond their control. If Mercedes and Verstappen agree to join forces, neither Russell nor Antonelli will have much say in the matter. Still, Russell remains confident. He believes his contractual matters with Mercedes have been settled and that the team is simply waiting for the European leg of the season to begin before making anything official. But in F1, belief and reality often drift apart. After all, we've seen this exact movie before with Lewis Hamilton, and look how that It's also widely believed that Verstappen has a clause in his current contract that could allow him to part ways with Red Bull if he fails to finish within the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship. Early reports suggested the condition applied only if he slipped out of the top 2, but the reality is simple. If he falls behind both McLaren drivers in the standings, the dynamic between Max and the Austrian team could shift dramatically, prompting him to consider an exit strategy. We'll delve deeper into the timing of this possibility shortly. But first, let's take a look at what Helmut Marko had to say. He stressed the need to improve the RB21's performance immediately. According to him, the exit clause won't come into play if the car becomes more competitive. Max is always scanning the horizon for opportunities, Marko said. But right now, our entire focus is on securing that 5th world title. That remains the goal. However, things have started to heat up behind the scenes. Word has leaked of a colossal offer from Aston Martin, reportedly a $300 million deal over 3 seasons, bundled with a partnership involving Adrian Newey and Honda. That kind of proposal could be too massive even for someone as strong-willed as Verstappen to turn down. Yet it's not just the Silverstone-based team that's after him. Mercedes is also lurking in the background. While Toto Wolff has publicly committed to his current driver lineup, insiders say that Verstappen's potential availability would be nearly impossible for him to ignore. Wolff already missed out on signing Max earlier in their careers, and he'll be determined not to let that happen again. Of course, the situation is now more complex. Mercedes recently secured the signature of Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who many view as the team's long-term future. But if Wolff sees a chance to pair the Italian prodigy with Verstappen and swap out George Russell in the process, it would completely reshape the competitive hierarchy of Formula One. Looking ahead to 2026, Mercedes may be better positioned than any other team to thrive under the new engine regulations. The emphasis on power unit performance is set to be greater than ever, and Mercedes' technical infrastructure is already a step ahead. That gives them something Honda can't yet deliver: raw, reliable engine power. If Verstappen is focused on continuing his championship-winning run, Mercedes might represent the clearest path forward, even if it means joining the very team he so desperately beat in 2021. But let's not forget, 3 drivers don't fit in 2 seats. If Verstappen makes the switch, one of Mercedes' current drivers will have to go. And all signs point toward Russell being the odd man out. Sources suggest early conversations have taken place between the British driver and the team, with both parties fully aware that certain decisions are simply out of their hands. If the team is truly committed to bringing Max on board, neither Russell nor Antonelli will have the power to stop it. Still, Russell remains optimistic. He believes that everything regarding his contract has already been sorted and that the team is merely waiting for the start of the European leg of the calendar to formalize the deal. But as we've seen before, contracts mean little when the game shifts. Remember what happened with Hamilton? We didn't believe it until it happened. And look how that story ended.